Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. This is Take It to the Hizzy Fantasy Football, TITTH number 163. I'm your host, Justin Bruni. I got the gang with me this Sunday morning. As usual, we've got Nick Davis, and we've got our special guest, Jeremy Popielarz, Yards Per, and the SGPN Network. How are we doing, fellas? Happy Sunday.
Doing good, chilling.
Yeah, it's a happy Sunday, one Sunday closer, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We're in kind of like a hiatus of sports, NBA championships over, NHL finals are over. We were talking about a little bit, we got baseball and Olympics, but, blood's starting to itch for football for sure. Training camp opening up in a couple of weeks here. Very excited. We're going to be jumping into some recent news here, but what do you guys got going on for Sunday or for the upcoming week? Anything exciting?
Nope, just work and – oh, wait, I'm going on vacation. Sorry, this is the week I'm going on vacation. So Tuesday – Deep Creek.
Okay.
Allie's dad getting like a pontoon boat and some nice water skis and stuff. So we're just gonna chill on the lake for like a week and then come back and hopefully be able to power through the rest of the year on the one vacation you get. So that's happening upcoming week for sure.
Was that what northwestern Maryland, right? No.
Yeah, right on like the keyhole, basically, or the key part. It's like near Frostburg and stuff. So that's where me and Allie met. And usually we go to Ocean City, but Deep Creek Lake has kind of been like the thing now. So it's kind of isolated. So it's pretty nice.
Nice. Right on. How about you, Jeremy? Anything exciting going on this Sunday or this upcoming week?
Not really. I'm kind of finishing up a bathroom remodel for my family-in-law, I guess, or in-laws to be. But other than that, no. Work. I'm going to try and get some content out there. Other than that, not really. I'm a pretty boring person.
Maybe hit up the Home Depot. Get some fresh tile.
Yeah, maybe.
You never know where the Sundays will take you. All right on. Well, we're going to jump into it here shortly. But before we do, we just want to remind you guys we are running a fundraiser with the Autism Society of America. And we just want to announce that we are doing a contest from this Sunday until next Sunday. Whoever donates the most between now and our next show, you have the options between a free NFL hoodie. That's something that we did all year long on our Monday and Thursday night shows. Or you can select some of our merchandise. We've got hoodies, hats, T-shirts, whatever. Or you can select a $25 Amazon gift card to donate. Just throw up the banner here down low. You can text to the Hizzy 244-321. It'll prompt it up on your phone really easily. Or you can visit our socials. We have our link tree up. It's the first option on our link tree. Also, we have merchandise on there. All of our merchandise profits go to the Autism Society of America as well. So really appreciate any help you guys can provide today, tomorrow, whenever. All right, let's jump into it. I'll leave that up on the bottom here for a little while, give people an opportunity. First up, got to dive into Cam Akers. He gone, tore the Achilles. How are we reacting? We'll touch on Cam Akers' dynasty value here in a little bit. But for redraft and for like right now, how are you guys valuing Henderson, some of these back end options, and Jake Funk, X Jones, Xavier Jones? How are you guys reacting?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think Henderson's gotta be the lead back, I would think. However, you always have to worry because he kind of had some injury issues too throughout his young career so far. But I think he's definitely a viable option. I definitely don't think his ceiling's the same as Cam Akers was. I think he's kind of going to be that running back 2 range maybe, but I think he's going to struggle to get higher than like the top 20. Personally, I just think that you're going to see a big running back by committee. This team does like Jake Funk, who they drafted, who you'd mentioned. They obviously like Xavier Jones. He was undrafted last year. And I mean, they still do have Raymond Callius too, who kind of is like a little versatile type guy. So there's a lot of options there. I think you'll see a lot of what we saw last year with Malcolm Brown, Henderson, and Akers. And just, I think all of them are going to be viable at times, but no one's going to be like Cam Akers was supposed to be this year. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. What do you think, Nick?
First off, I'm really sorry to Cam Akers for the Achilles. I had very high hopes for you this year, and I really loved you at FSU. I thought you were going to come on and just tear it up. For me, Honestly, I'm not jumping to get the other running backs. I think that Sean McVay has an offense where if he had Cam Akers, it makes the offense better. But with Matthew Stafford coming on and having Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods on the outside, I think that he's going to be focusing more on the pass. And it's really like the running back position has kind of been devalued where unless you're like Derrick Henry, you're really just a cog in the machine. You're not really the focus of the offense. So it allows the offense to kind of adjust if they lose their lead back. The backs that are going to replace them are definitely going to get production. But, like Jeremy said, it's not going to be what Cam Akers was. So for me, it's just like I think that the pass game is going to get more looks. And I'm kind of excited because I got Cooper Kupp in Dynasty. So, it's good for me. I'm really sad for Cam Akers. And I think that we were talking about it before screen. The Achilles injury takes away speed. Like John Wall had that issue. Like he's not the same player that he was 5 years ago with his elite speed. Kevin Durant has Achilles tear, but that's not like a speed guy. Marlon Mack, Jeremy mentioned Marlon Mack, that he'll be a great tell on if Cam Akers will be how he will come back. So it's really just to see how it is. I think it's more of a mental thing, but I really do hope he comes back because I'm still high on him. I just need to see a little bit from him after the injury.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, I agree with you, Jeremy. I'm somewhere in that like RB20 to RB25 range, like when I was recalculating my rankings. Obviously, had to take Cam Akers out of there. So that opened up a little, one slot of opportunity. But I'll just ask you guys, like if when you're looking at your draft, in redraft leagues and you see Darrell Henderson's name there, and other names around him, who would you rather have? Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders, or Darrell Henderson?
I'm taking Javonte Williams 101 or like 100% of the time because that's just Javonte Williams I'm a big Javonte Williams guy. And I think that he has a better chance of finishing higher, I would say. Basically because I don't know what Gordon's going to have in that offense. I think he's still going to have a role. Sure. But I just think that it's tough though, because like I can see Darrell Henderson if he stays healthy and they kind of give him like 75% of the workload. That offense could be dangerous. Like Nick had said, I mean, Matthew Stafford's there. They're going to be throwing the ball a lot. They're going to be scoring a lot of points, I'm thinking. So I don't know. It's really tough, but I would take Javonte Williams purely on the basis of I like him better as a player. But I could see Henderson being better than both of those guys. You know what I mean? Miles Sanders injury worries too. So I don't know.
Well, he's in that range of guys. Like
he's right there.
For me,
yeah,
he's in this range of guys that are going to have split backfield. So right ahead of him, I have Javonte Williams, who is still in a split backfield with Melvin Gordon. I have Darrell Henderson at 24, Kareem Hunt at 25, Chase Edmonds at 26. Those guys are all in similar situations where they're still going to be splitting up the backfield. You need to keep in mind that Darrell Henderson last year, while he still was productive, I think he just had just under 800 total scrimmage yards and 6 total touchdowns, two of which were in fantasy playoffs. So keep that in mind. He did help some people cash some checks last year. I just don't know if he's going to have that workload. He only had only 50%, over 50% snap shares in 2 games, and that was it. So they still cut it up quite a bit. Of that 3, Nick, who would you go with? Miles Sanders, Javonte Williams, or Darrell Henderson?
I'm high on Javonte Williams, but the thing is that Melvin or Gordon's there. And he's still going to get looks. He still did really well, even though Philip Lindsay was there. I kind of see a little bit more production than what Philip Lindsay gave last year, because I do believe Javonte Williams is a better running back. No offense to Philip Lindsay. It's just
more versatile. I think we all agree.
Yeah. But I'm going to go Miles Sanders because, even though Jalen Hurts, is the quarterback there, I feel like they're going to have to rely a little bit more on the run, a little bit more on I feel like we're going to kind of see like the Oklahoma style of like quick screen passes, allowing the weapons to do their work in space. They just drafted Devonta Smith. So, you got to let him get the ball and do his work. So I think Miles Sanders is going to get a lot of work because they're going to try and lean on him to take the pressure off of a young quarterback in a new system, a new coach. Like you kind of got to build a little bit with that. So I'm going to go Miles Sanders, Javonte Williams, and then Darrell Henderson.
Sure. I would go Javonte Williams. I have Miles Sanders just ahead of Javonte Williams just because there's a little bit less competition. Like I'm a big Kenny Gainwell guy. I do think that at some point this season he could actually overtake the number 1 spot in Philly. But at the same time, Boston Scott's there. They're going to divvy up all those touches as well. So that's why I just have him 1 spot ahead of Javonte Williams. But if I'm sitting there in my draft, I'm probably taking Williams out of that bunch. What do you guys think about these other guys? Jake Funk, Xavier Jones. Would you prefer to take the flyer on one of those guys in your draft, or just try to find Henderson at value? Because I'm still okay drafting Henderson in redraft. I just want to do it probably in round 7 or later. So what do you guys think? Do you go in something like that, like round 7 or 8 with Henderson, or do you wait till the back end of the draft to take a flyer on X Jones or Jake Funk?
Is this redraft we're talking about?
Redraft.
Okay, because I was like, we did a dynasty, and I didn't draft a running back till the 10th round. So I was like, I'm way out on that.
We'll see how it works out.
Yeah, we'll see how it works out. 7 or 8 for Darrell Henderson. It's still a little high for me, to be completely honest. I'd rather just kind of wait. I'm kind of going to be focusing on receivers, the passing game, strong quarterbacks. I feel like running backs just take so much damage, and you can get those top guys. But last year, literally, the first 5 or 6 running backs, besides Henry, Kamara, and Zeke, just about almost every top running back was out, and it was just awful.
Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, so it was just after that, those guys were all hurt, and it was just it was really a crapshoot at some points of the season with running backs. And I was rocking with Salvin Ahmed. I was rocking the Miami backfield, to be completely honest, and just getting those small points that I needed to just stay in the game. And it kind of helped. So for me, I'm gonna be waiting on the running backs for sure later in the draft.
Okay, how about you, Jeremy?
Yeah, I agree. I think you're looking at it like we'd mentioned. He's in a messy split backfield to an extent now, where he's not Cam Akers. So we expected Cam Akers to be the lead guy. He's the guy, and that's why he was going so high. Now it's again where you get into those split backfields where those are guys that I just wait on because you don't know what you're getting. And like Nick had said, 7, 8, that's prime wide receiver spots for me. I'll take a guy early, you know what I mean? Especially if it's super flex. Say we're playing a super flex, I'm usually a quarterback, running back, then I'll shift to wide receiver, possibly a second running back, depending on where my draft slot is and who's there. But 7 for me, there's guys around it. I'm sure Cooper Kupp's going to be around that range. I'm sure Robert Woods will be there. And those 2 guys are going to have a bigger cog in this offense than Darrell Henderson will. So for me, I'm going to wait, and I'll wait a couple rounds. I'll take a guy like Zach Moss. I'll take a guy like Damian Harrison in the 10th, 11th round. I'll take my shot. And honestly, I'd take my shot on Jake Funk or Xavier Jones later in the draft because they could have just as many weeks that they're more viable than Darrell Henderson. You might see it where they're going to play the hot hand. Both of these guys have produced at the collegiate level. Both had pretty decent profiles. So, I mean, it's tough, but I think I'm going to wait just because we don't know the situation. You know what I mean? We don't know that he's going to be the guy. Because you don't know. There could be cuts too. You know what I mean? You could have cuts close to the season. And yeah, maybe the first couple of weeks is Darrell Henderson, but who knows if they can bring a guy in, like Sony Michel makes a trade or something like that. You don't know who's going to be there. So for me right now, I'm waiting.
With Jake Funk being in Los Angeles, I kind of see remember Zach Zenner in Detroit? He was kind of snagging some crazy goal line touches, and he's just dude, I can't even depend on you the entire game. It's just if they get to the goal line. I feel like Jake Funk's gonna kind of take that kind of role. I don't know. I just see Zach Zenner and Jake Funk being the same kind of running back. Not oh yeah, I'm going to draft them. But if you have them on your team because of a stream option, they're probably going to pop some points off for you because they're going to be the goal line guys. So, that could also happen. It's people also stepping up too. You don't know who's coming to eat, and some people just step up sometimes in injuries and take over.
Yeah, I agree. I like Xavier Jones at the back end of my draft in rounds 16 plus rather than, sprinting to Darrell Henderson, because there's going to be someone in your draft that thinks that they're going to be really sneaky and I'm going to get an RB1 in round whatever 6 or 7, at least to their perception. Xavier Jones seems like a decent piece for me. He was undrafted last year. they kept him on as a special teams player. If you look at his stats, he recorded like 3 tackles. He never took any snaps on offense. But this is a guy, if you go back and look at his track record in college, he had more rushing yards in his senior year at SMU than Jake Funk ever had every year at Maryland. I think Jake Funk played there for 4 years, 5 years for Jones at SMU. But his last year, he had like nearly 1,300 rushing yards. He had 25 total touchdowns in 13 games. Mind you, it was in 2019, a couple of years ago. But I think the Rams really like what they have in him. They haven't really, hinted that they're going to sign a free agent vet or even make a move, really. I like that the idea of Sony Michel, Jeremy. I think that would be a decent move. There's probably a couple more out there. Honestly, what I would like, you mentioned Sony Michel. What about James White? Because I kind of feel like they need like a scat back guy, back there. If it's a heavy passing offense now, post Akers injury, wouldn't you rather have a guy, back there that can, take you easily for 6 to 8 yards off a quick screen or something like that? What about Rex Burkhead, Keyshawn Vaughn, James White, Ty Johnson, even from the Jets? They got a crowded backfield. Wouldn't hate any of those.
I personally, if I was Sean McVay, I want kind of like a bigger running back because there are so many weapons to feed in the passing game. You really don't need like a scat back to like take that. Mm-hmm. I'd rather have someone blocking for Matthew Stafford. I mean, Stafford has taken damage in Detroit. And if I'm Sean McVay, I'm like, dude, I'm going to protect you. I promise you. Like, it's going to be a lot better here. You're going to have a lot more time, and we're going to try and keep you upright. So I can see them not getting a scat back just in that sense. Like, they're going to be dropping back to block for Stafford to let him work. Because you have a quarterback now that can literally make progressions. Like, he has the longest uncut clip of NFL films because he was just scrambling, looking downfield, all that jazz. Jared Goff could not even do that in his dreams. Okay, so it's going to be a way different type of style for sure, and he's going to allow him to do his job.
Yeah, and I think aside from signing a scat back, aside from somebody getting cut, I mean, you could see like the Gurley rumors. You could see LaShawn McCoy's out there. You could see somebody like that, Le'Veon Bell, still there. I mean, you could see one of these guys kind of fall in and just be kind of that type of role. But the offense that McVay runs too, they'll probably more have an extension of the run game. You know what I mean? They're going to use Robert Woods. They're going to use Cooper Kupp and maybe some end arounds, but they're going to use them on screens. You're going to see tight end screens. You got Jacob Harris there who's making waves. You got Tyler Higbee still. I think you'll see like, instead of having a pass catching back, they're going to use the extension of the passing game and shorter passes with more yak to that's extent. You know what I mean? That's how I feel. I just don't know. I just feel like, you know what I mean? Like the faces you made, like those names, like they don't excite anybody. You know what I mean anymore?
No, that would make the situation terrible if they brought in any of those guys. No, I'm not drafting any of them then because you're putting them all on an island.
Yeah.
All right, really quick to wrap this up. Week 1, I put out this poll earlier in the week. Week 1, last flex position, who you got? Darrell Henderson, Raheem Mostert, James Robinson. I'm going James Robinson just based on matchup. He's going up against Houston. Raheem Mostert has Detroit, and Henderson has the Bears on Monday Night Football. If it's your last flex position, guys, week 1, where are you going?
Mostert against Detroit seems really nice.
Yeah, I'm going to say Mostert. I mean, dude, Shanahan had his 4-string running back running for 100 yards. Like, he's just like his father. It does not matter who's there. He's still going to get 100 yards out of whoever's able to stay healthy. And Raheem Mostert is at the top of that list. I'm going to say Raheem Mostert. James Robinson, I love him. I really do. But, man, Urban Meyer just sent a huge message to everybody. Like, this is his team. And he don't care who was there the year before. It wasn't successful in his eyes because of the W's. So he's going to bring in his guys, the big school guys. And he brought in somebody that literally played next to his franchise quarterback. So I think that, even though he's good, he's still the undrafted guy. And someone was drafted first round, and that's going to really eat into his production. So for me, Raheem Mostert.
Fair enough. I think Robinson's scoring 2 touchdowns week 1. Let's go, Illinois State. Stand up.
You want to make a bet on that? You want to put $5 on that? I'll
put 20 on it.
I'll put 20 on it.
I think you meant Carlos Hyde.
I'll put 20 on
Carlos Hyde, not James Robinson. Hyde's going to steal the touchdowns.
I'm going 2 rushing touchdowns. James Robinson, week 1. You good with it, Nick?
Yeah, I'll put 20 on it. Because I do not see that happening.
Loser pays the charity. That's where it's going. That's fine. That's how things are going this year.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, let's move on. That we just spent a lot of time on some Cam Akers, but it's important. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. But we have other injuries to cover, other pupless guys to get into. So next up, we got Michael Thomas. Looks like he is going to miss first of the several weeks of this 2021 season with an ankle injury. Looks like he's going to miss. They're saying the first month. That for first month talk, quote unquote, I put that to about 4 to 6 games. How are you guys reacting to this injury? And are you still interested in drafting him at any point in your redraft leagues?
No, man, they paid a lot of money for zero production. Like after that Slant Boy comment, it's almost like it destroyed his confidence and destroyed his like ability to stay healthy. He has not done much after signing that contract. And I thought he was like a legitimate wide receiver. And it's almost like, yeah, he did look like it, but it might just be like Drew Brees. I don't know, but I'm staying away from him until he has a great start to the beginning of the season. The past 2 years, he has not been a great start. I'm avoiding it. I just don't think he's going to come back ready to be up to speed.
Mm-hmm. I hear you. What do you think, Jeremy?
I am so torn. I actually made a trade this year or in Dynasty post that because I just see. I mean, he's proven he can be the wide receiver one, but I'm with Nick too. Like, was it Drew Brees? I mean, you had one of the most accurate quarterbacks, and he basically did run a lot of slants. I mean, he was high percentage throws, and I just feel like his injury to his foot that everybody's complaining about, but like they're saying he's not going to be the same guy, but he's never really been like this explosive type receiver. He's a big body. He gets in position well. He bodies people out well, and he just kind of makes catches and doesn't do much after that. You know what I mean? Like he's not an explosive guy. So like for this injury, it affects him, and it obviously would affect any receiver. But I just feel like he's still going to have what he's always done. You know what I mean? He's kind of just like a big bodied guy. And so I'm still in on him. I just don't know in redraft how high I'm ready to go yet. I put in my notes maybe 8th round if he falls that far, but I really feel like I want to get maybe some mocks going before I really dive into a redraft draft with him, because how far is he falling? You know what I mean? Like people might be like Nick. A lot of people are like Nick right now where they're like, I'm just done with him. 2 years of injury. I don't want to deal with it. And like, you know what I mean? So I could see him falling further than 8, maybe, depending on your league. You know what I mean? Depending on your league and redraft. Like,
yeah. In the most recent mock that I did, he fell to round 5. And to me, that's still too rich. You know, if I'm not going to spend like 7 or 8 on Darrell Henderson, who's probably going to play most of his games this year, limited workload, but still, like you're looking at a guy that's going to miss 4 to 6 weeks potentially, could be even longer than that. We don't really know. If I can get him in double digit rounds, I'm fine, because by then I've gotten enough pieces for my starters, you know, getting elite starters or guys that I'm really in on. And then I can start to talk about, you know, oh, if I make it to the championship week, this will really put me over the top. Or, oh, when he comes back, I'll have great trade value. Or I can move someone else on my team that, you know, maybe I feel like is about to hit a lull in their season or something like that. There's just too many ifs, ands, or buts. I moved him down to wide receiver 31. So that's pretty far back. I'll throw it to these guys in that mix that I have in my rankings. So of these, we'll say 4: Tyler Boyd, Deebo Samuel, Michael Thomas, Jerry Jeudy. Who would you rather have?
Jeudy. Give me Jerry Jeudy. I'd rather have like Mike Thomas. He's going to get receptions and stuff, but like I'm so worried about his mental game. It's almost like an Antonio Brown situation, and like his body's not holding up. It's just not good. Like there's too many negatives that outweigh the positives that can happen when he's there. And then the quarterback situation in New Orleans, like everybody's so high on Jameis, but everybody kind of forgot that he threw 30 interceptions and threw 30 touchdowns. Like everybody's like, oh, he's going to be the truth. I'm like, dude, 30 interceptions.
They only remember the touchdowns.
Yeah. Like for me, it's like you throw 30 interceptions. You're not doing film study. You're not trying to improve. You're just chucking the ball. Like Jameis Winston is like the classic gunslinger. He does not care. He will chuck the ball up, but you need to be smarter in the NFL or you're going to, you know, end up being a backup quarterback pretty quickly after being a first-round pick or first overall pick.
Man, that's a tough one.
Of that bunch?
Yeah. Backstory, the trade was Jerry Jeudy for Michael Thomas. So, you know.
Dang, on the head. Nailed it. Nailed it.
So here's where I'm at. I like Jerry Jeudy. I think Jerry Jeudy is going to bounce back from what he had last year. However, I feel like Michael Thomas, if he comes back to say 75%, I think he has more upside on the basis of he's the only option in New Orleans, really. Traquan Smith showed that he could do something. Marquez Callaway might step up, but really, I mean, you got Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara, and outside of that, so I don't care who's throwing the ball, whether it's Taysom or Winston. I mean, he's going to get targeted. So I just feel like his upside's a lot higher in, like, say, a PPR league than Jerry Jeudy, just because Jerry Jeudy still has KJ Hamler. They have Cortland Sutton returning. They have Albert O at tight end. They have Noah Fant at tight end. They have Javonte Williams. They have Melvin Gordon. The list just goes on there, and they just have as equally dicey of a quarterback situation. You know, I mean, you have Drew Lock, who proved that he may not be the thing, and then you got Teddy Bridgewater, who's accurate but has always just kind of been that guy. Is just like a meh. So for me, of those, honestly, I'd probably take Tyler Boyd out of all of those because I'm a big Tyler Boyd guy. I think that the Bengals are going to be throwing a lot more than both of these teams. So for me, out of those, it's Tyler Boyd, but Michael Thomas is there. I think I'd take Michael. I think it'd be Boyd, Thomas, Samuel, Jeudy, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Tyler Boyd was the guy that I had at the top of that. So he was at 29, Debo at 30, Michael Thomas at 31, and then Jerry Jeudy at 32. I just feel like by that time, I probably still have one or two receivers drafted on my team, at least based off of the way that I have been drafting. So I would feel like, yeah, I could take a shot on, Michael Thomas here. Oh, Justin, you've already got a share of Boyd, sit tight.
Yeah.
You can get another one later, whatever. So I think that's a good spot for him. Some names that I have behind him still are guys like Jarvis Landry, Chase Claypool, OBJ. Jamar Chase is at 36 for me. I may have to, kick myself for that one. I probably need to move him up ahead of Michael Thomas because, again, that offense should be pretty exciting. They'll be playing from behind a lot, et cetera. So there's some good opportunity there. So I like Michael Thomas. Like I said, just give me double digits. I want no risk. I mean, 4 to 6 games is a big piece of your pie in fantasy football. You're going to need to be able to weather the storm without him. And that, 5th round draft stock, that's just way too high for me. So, got to just read the room. You got to, follow the draft. If people in your draft are going to be low on them, then maybe you can pounce on them later. But if you know that there's 1 or 2 people in there that are going to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to get them in the 5th or 6th round, don't try to race them. Don't try to beat those folks.
Everybody thinks that they can come back after being down like 4-6 weeks in fantasy. It is extremely hard to come back after that kind of stuff. I had one year where literally the first 4 weeks after drafting Marshawn Lynch and Russell Wilson, after the first 4 weeks, I was like in the basement. Then they just come roaring back, and I missed the playoffs by 1 game. Like, if I had 1 or 2 more weeks of actual success early in the season, it would have set me up for the playoffs. And, like, now, if someone's out at the beginning of the season, I'm not worried about them because you know what? I need that production to be done during those weeks because those are games that you need to build up. So don't put yourself in the hole just because you want to die on a hill for somebody. Like, you got to get the numbers. You got to get the points to win the game, and you don't win weeks by waiting on someone to come back week 6, week 7.
And also to that point, sorry, just really quick, you can take risks in your draft and still come out on top. I drafted Cam Akers last year in the 2nd round of a keeper league. When did he start a game? He's like what, week 6, week 7 or something like that?
But that's a keeper league. There is value for that after, yeah.
Well, yeah, but it was still like the 2nd round. Like the keeper value would have been great. But to my point is I scored the 3rd most points in the league and I wasted a 2nd round pick. Because he didn't play until, I don't know, like week 7 or something like that, until he finally, had a matchlet under his ass and McVay, actually gave him touches or let him play. I didn't make the playoffs. I scored the 3rd most points, but I had the most points against, different story, whatever. But you still can have success taking those shots and taking those risks. Sorry, Jeremy, what were you going to say?
And here's the thing. I pulled it up real quick because I wanted to see because I wasn't 100% sure. But Michael Thomas probably won't play till week 7 because they have a week 6 bye. And I guarantee you they're gonna roll him through that first section, which is actually an easier kind of part of their schedule. And week 5 is Washington. I don't think they're gonna roll him out against that. Maybe not. But you know what I mean? Then he comes back. He gets Seattle, Tampa Bay, Atlanta, Tennessee, Philly, Buffalo, Dallas, Jets leading up to the playoffs, fantasy playoffs. But his playoff schedule is Tampa Bay, Miami, Carolina. So. And that's if your league is 15, 16, 17 for playoffs, depending on how they're set up.
Right. So yeah, maybe if you don't have a week 17, if you don't have the last week in there, you're only getting them for potentially 9 weeks.
Yeah. And you're getting their playoff schedules, the Jets, Tampa, and Miami, which isn't the best for wide receivers, at least at the moment they're predicting. So I don't know. I think I agree with you. I think it's either double digits or let somebody take them, and they take them in like the 5th or 4th round, and they're probably bad.
Yep.
By then, and you trade for them in week 6. You know what I'm saying?
It's an option. Maybe. Yeah, there you go. That's probably the way to handle it. Leverage some of your draft stock or your draft capital that you really hit on in the background. Yeah. Maybe a Darnell Mooney or somebody like that. He's going off like bonkers. You can move him and maybe another piece for Thomas. All right, cool. Let's move on. We're looking at Saquon Barkley. He is on the PUP list. They still say that he looks ready for week 1. Obviously, this is an injury from last season, so he's still in that recovery process. Are you guys concerned about taking Barkley in the first round? That's his draft stock. Probably somewhere from picks 4 to 8, depending on your league. Are you guys still interested? Concerned?
Ooh, I am. I'm in. I love Saquon. I think Saquon's a great talent. I could see the concern. It is very high, but I feel like guys around him now, especially losing Akers as your other running back option.
Sure.
I'd still take Barkley. I think that he's still going to be a pretty focal point in that offense. Aside from last year, in 2019, he finished RB6, around 18 points, PPR points per game. So I think he's going to be close to that. I'm not too concerned about the ACL injury. I think it's technically his second one, and I think from his first one in college, I think he bounced back pretty well. So I think he's going to be all right. He's also the only real back there. I mean, they drafted Gary Brightwell, which isn't a big deal, and then they have Devontae Booker, but I don't see it. I think he's going to be ready week 1, and I just see the offense being maybe a touch better with the better weapons around, and I think they're going to score more points, and I feel like Barkley's going to be a big part of it. So,
what do you think, Nick?
This sucks. Barkley.
You drafted Barkley, Nick?
No, I haven't drafted Barkley, but like Jeremy, I love Barkley. I think he's a great talent, but when you have issues with your legs, especially at the running back position, you start overcompensating, and then other issues start happening. Just to give an example, he's not a running back, but he was a scrambling quarterback. It was Robert Griffin III. He had a couple of knee injuries. He started overcompensating in certain ways. He literally did a rollout and fractured his ankle. That kind of stuff happens when you have so much damage to your legs. So for me, it's man, I love his talent, but I feel like he's going to come back, and when he gets on the field, he's going to do very well, absolutely. But there's also that chance that it could add more damage, and he could actually not finish the season because he's not 100%, or he didn't have a great off season or something like that. So I'm going to stay away in the first round. I'll let other people jump on that because you can always take a chance on someone later in the draft where you can just pop off. I drafted Justin Jefferson, and in the first 2 weeks, he gave me a 40-point game. That stuff happens. So I'm going to stay away from Barkley in the first round.
Yeah, I have to agree as well. And that's also because a lot of my leagues are super flex. So if I'm looking at, those really high-end running backs, and for reference, Barkley is my number 5. So I go CMC, Kamara, Cook, I think then Henry. I don't know. What do I have? Oh, I'm sorry, Austin Eckler, Saquon Barkley, and then Derrick Henry. So I have Barkley in that spot. For me, that puts him towards the end of the first round, where I could also be considering a quarterback. Even if Mahomes and Allen have gone, I could still be looking at Dak Prescott. Travis Kelce, I've seen go ahead of Barkley, Tyreek Hill. For me, I have Hill behind Hopkins and Stephon Diggs. So those two names would also be, kind of presenting themselves to me at the end of the first round, despite their draft stock is typically in the, middle of the second, beginning of the second round. So I would still like those guys a little bit more just because of the injury history with Barkley, because maybe he is ready for week 1, but they could just, kind of limit him in his touches. He has the opportunity to re-injure it. And, for those other guys up there that I just like a lot more, like Eckler, Kamara, and Cook, I would just rather go those directions. Obviously, Dalvin Cook, he has a little bit of an injury history as well, but he's really stepped up the past couple of years. He looks good. So I'm going to probably stay away from Barkley just because I have him outside of those top 4 guys. And after those top 4 guys, I'm looking at quarterbacks. I'm looking at high-end receivers. So that's where I'm going to stay away from, at least with the high-end running backs. Probably Derrick Henry too, to be honest. A lot of miles under those wheels. A lot of miles.
But have you seen his workout videos? He is literally working to dodge human beings and just push them off himself. I love Derrick Henry. I was I had 4 in our dynasty draft, and I was so mad that he got drafted 3. Like, I was like, you know what? All right, screw it. 0 RB strategy. Like, that was the only running back that I truly wanted. And as soon as he was drafted, I was like, all right, adjust. And I just went, I went Lamar, Jax. It was a super flex. So Lamar, and then I went Dak, and then I went Darren Waller because it's a 1.5 PPR for tight ends. Didn't know that, but I was like, I'll take Waller in the 3rd round. So that's kind of how my draft rolled out. But Derrick Henry, man, I'm high on him. I don't care how many miles he has. He's literally training to like throw people off of him. And that's like what you want to see. Like, for, Zeke Elliott, he's trying to dodge cones all the time. Like, I have not seen him push anybody off himself. And that's just a different style. So Derrick Henry, I get really revved up for him. I think he's going to have maybe it sucks to say, but maybe like 3 or 4 more years because of the mileage, but he's still working really hard to keep that going.
Yeah, so you would take him over Barkley then?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, I still like Derrick Henry. I think he's still got at least 2 years worth of it.
Oh, like this type of production? Yeah. I mean, you can, and he can still, I don't even know if that's even the case. Like, I still feel like he could probably go, even 4 to 5 years. But beyond like the really heavy production, the really high end touches, this is a guy that can stick around the league for a really long time and being just a red zone specialist. Like, as long as he stays healthy, he could be in the league still for a good while here and provide a ton of value.
Yeah, I mean, they added another back that's just a little bit more like a inside the 20s, and then he's kind of an inside the 20 or 30-yard line. Yeah, I can see it.
All right, awesome. Let's move on. Next guy up on the PUP list, we've got Amari Cooper. Is this affecting his draft stock for you whatsoever? And are you targeting any more shares of, Gallup, Blake Jarwin, Dalton Schultz, any of these other guys? Obviously, everyone still wants CeeDee Lamb, so we all know that.
I'm not worried about Amari. I feel like they're kind of like easing him in. They don't want to like rush him back. I mean, man, people are so low on him, but he had one of the best seasons of his career with 4 quarterbacks. Like, please put some respect on his name. Like, I think he's better than, honestly, what's his face? We just spoke about him. Michael Thomas, sorry. Like, Amari Cooper is just quiet, and that's why everybody just like sleeps on him because he don't talk. He really doesn't. Like, I followed him on Twitter like years ago, and he literally hasn't tweeted since I followed him. So I was like, man, I follow Amari, but he just works. He does his job. I think it's just kind of like resting him, making sure that they're not going to overstrain him for the season because there's going to be a lot of passing this year, and they need him at 100%. Dak is back. So I'm pumped. I want any share of the passing game. I got Dak, so I'm perfectly okay. I didn't need the stack, but I will take anybody in that passing game for sure.
Right on. How about you, Jeremy?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really affect his value for me. I wouldn't say I sleep on Amari Cooper or put disrespect on him, but I personally want CeeDee Lamb. I think, like you said, everybody wants CeeDee Lamb. I think CeeDee Lamb could become that wide receiver 1 this year there over Cooper. I think they'll be very close. But yeah, I think they should target other people in this passing game. Like Nick had said, I think there's going to be a lot of passing. I think Zeke's going to get some passing work. I think for me, Michael Gallup, especially if you're playing Dynasty, Michael Gallup is a like free piece right now. Whether he stays and they move on, say from Amari Cooper because of contract and they want to save some money, or he leaves, and Michael Gallup is a very good wide receiver. So for me, I'm all in on Gallup even this year too. I think that they can have 3 viable fantasy wide receivers there. And Blake Jarwin too. I'm not as in on Dalton Schultz. I think Dalton Schultz just ended up being kind of like just a guy there. I think that Jarwin got hurt and he just stepped in and did a decent job. It wasn't great. It was good. I mean, I guess you could argue it was great, but I mean, he was decent. And I think just Blake Jarwin's a little bit more, I think he's just a touch better athletically, aside from the ACL that he's going to be coming off of. But I think they want Jarwin to be the guy there. So I'm in on Jarwin. I'm in on everybody outside of Schultz, I think. But Schultz might be free. I don't know really where he's going in drafts right now. So maybe as a late round flyer, because you could expect Jarwin could possibly have some issues coming back from the ACL. So,
all right. So Scott Fishbowl is 22 rounds, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I took my 22nd pick was Taylor Heineke. My 21st was Robbie Gould. So that would make 20th was my Dalton Schultz pick. So that's where I grabbed Dalton Schultz, and he was my 3rd tight end. But I was one of those people that, if you don't attack, the top 3 guys, you wait till forever to draft a tight end. My first one was like Zach Ertz. I was just like, whatever, I'll just get whoever at the back end of the draft. Oh, hey, Zach Ertz could get traded. Maybe I'll just, take a flyer on him, right? But
I want
with
to
the
say mine was
Cowboys,
12. I think I took Troutman at 12 and Jarwin at 13. I think that's somewhere where it was.
yeah, I took Ertz. I actually took Ertz at 12. That was my first tight end pick.
Yeah.
But with Cooper, I still like him in Dallas. I mean, honestly, I kind of like the news. I can get him a little bit cheaper. I can get him a round or two cheaper. And this is an injury that was from last year. They said, in mid-June, he was going to be ready in 2 to 3 weeks. They're just taking their time. This is a guy that doesn't need to go through training camp, in my opinion. Like, he could get his reps in for a couple of weeks, just doing the basics, the fundamentals, and get on the field. Could skip preseason, and still week 1, he'll have a huge demand for touches up against, who are they playing, the Bucks on the road? You know what I mean? So I still feel like there's going to be a great role carved out for him this year. We're all in on that passing offense. Nick, he spent his second round pick on Dak Prescott. He's a believer. Jokes, joker all the time.
I'm a truther.
Yards, right, Nick? 5,000 yards, right? Every time I bring him up, hey, that guy's throwing for 1 billion yards this year. So there's a lot to like about this offense. I'm not by any means taking a victory lap, but I have Traquan Smith, Michael Gallup, and Darrell Henderson all in the trade block right now. I don't know what their perceived value is going to be, but I'm not saying like, I nailed it and, I'm going to move these pieces. But I like all these back end options that I have available for me after these pup, listings or injuries or whatever it is. So I still like Cooper. I'll still take him in rounds like 6 or 7. I had him at wide receiver 14, and I've moved him to wide receiver 25. CeeDee Lamb is at 21 for me, so now I have him just about 4 spots ahead, which I still think is appropriate based off of this news. And before, I had Cooper much higher, like 7 spots higher, because I really believe in this offense. They still don't have a great defense. I know they just signed, who is it, Hooker, right?
Yeah, Malik Hooker.
Yeah, Malik Hooker. So, they're trying to add some pieces. They got Micah Parsons there, too. They got, like, every linebacker in the world, whatever. So they're trying to add some pieces, but I still see this as a team that's going to be playing from behind quite a bit. They're going to pass a lot. I want all of them. Amari Cooper. I think this news is just some fluff, to be perfectly honest. It's just a reason to say why he's not in camp, why he's on the sidelines, why he's on a bike or whatever. This right here, he's on the pup. We're just taking our time.
We got to remember too, it's a 18-week season this year, and you got a shorter week in the preseason. So maybe he's a veteran guy, like you said. He doesn't need training camp necessarily. He just needs a couple weeks, kind of get in shape and just kind of learn a little bit if they added some pieces to the offense, and he'll be fine. So,
yeah, absolutely. I'm not really concerned about this news. Like I said, if anything, I'm rejoicing. I can get him a little bit better value. All right, next up, we've got some Ben Roethlisberger talk. Man's looking in shape. A lot of positive narratives over there in Pittsburgh. Great receivers, got a rejuvenated running game in Najee Harris, but he's got a brand new, fresh offensive line. Obviously, still a little bit frail with his age. Just keep it simple. Are you guys drafting Ben Roethlisberger in 2021? Single quarterback, dynasty, super flex, whatever it is. Yes or no?
Negative.
Single quarterback, no. Super flex, maybe as my third late.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that. Yeah, I agree completely on that. I don't know. He might be looking slim, but I've seen some videos of him where he literally just does not take training camp seriously. He's still a very good quarterback in the NFL. He's pretty legendary for his complete track record. But I don't know. I just don't see this year happening. I feel like Najee Harris is going to pop off, though. I really like him there. But it's not like Ben Roethlisberger is kind of like the game manager now. He doesn't take over the games. He just tries to exist to not make mistakes and to keep the defense fresh so that they can get third and outs pretty quickly.
Sure. Yeah, I agree. I mean, you want him at a risk-free space. I think in single quarterback leagues, even as a backup, just as a late round flyer, I think that's perfectly fine. Given the weapons he has around him. I mean, Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, Juju Smith-Schuster, they rival, the Bengals for best receivers in that division. We'll see how it comes out at the end of the year, but you're not going to say that, the Browns or the Ravens receivers are the best in the division. It's going to be one of those two guys, right? Or one of those two teams. So he definitely has some weapons there. But, man, if you look at that offensive line, they released David DeCastro, Ramon Foster, Maurice Pouncey retired, Marcus Gilbert was traded, Andre Villanueva, who's been there forever since probably I was in high school. He's with the Ravens now. He's with the rival. They got fresh faces. I know they added Trey Turner. I couldn't tell you literally any of the other guys on that offensive line. Then really that was the news this week is they expect, growing pains from this offensive line. So, Nick, you were saying that, hey, yeah, I'm all in on Harris, but if they don't have a good offensive line, if they're still trying to figure it out, does that mean that Harris just becomes kind of like a PPR gadget guy back there where he's just, dinking and dunking with Ben, kind of similar to what Le'Veon Bell was doing? Or does that floor more opportunity for, the receivers? And at the same time, will they keep Ben upright? That's the biggest question mark to me is, Ben is a guy that loves to stand in that pocket till the very last second. He loves to give his receivers every extra opportunity to get open, even if it's just another step so he can, dime one in the corner of the end zone, whatever it is. But is that line going to keep him upright? That's really my biggest concern, because every time Ben goes down, it's from, just some blown coverage, and he's just trying to stand in there and be that monster. He's just not that same guy anymore, So that's my big concern. I agree, though. Bench option, third guy on your super flex. I guess I just wanted to see if you guys would be, in on him enough to take that shot, because you can draft a lot of other talent if you don't draft a quarterback till round 14 was the last mock where I had him going.
Yeah, I have the same concerns you have. That offensive line scares the heck out of me. I think I had a thread about Najee Harris because I'm very worried about Najee Harris too, because Najee Harris is coming from one of the best offensive lines in college football in Alabama to a team that they grade out terribly according to Pro Football Focus. And however you want to take that, you take that information. I'm just going to give it to you. But I'm just really worried.
Inexperienced.
I'm very, very, very worried about that offensive line. And to be honest, I'm not even really in on anybody from this offense. I mean, I like the talent to an extent. I just feel like, what's it going to be? And then even that, okay, so once Ben's done, you could argue, okay, Ben can get him the ball, but who's the quarterback after that? Dwayne Haskins is scary. Mason Rudolph scary. You know what I mean? The class this year is scary.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just kind of, that line really deters me, but I could be wrong. I've been wrong before.
No, I mean, they could be a very pleasant surprise, but the way they look on paper right now, it draws up a lot of concerns. I like Najee Harris. I like taking him. I think that his draft stock is a little bit high in redraft leagues. And I also like Deontay Johnson. I think that cleaning up the drops isn't going to be a big issue. I think that's the big, negative narrative on him is, he's going to drop the ball. He's going to drop the ball. I just think that there's other factors that come into play there, right? So I don't think that that's going to be a consistent narrative for him in his career. I'll still take a shot on him in my draft for sure this year. And I will take a flyer on Ben Roethlisberger, probably, like I said, rounds 12 or more. I really don't have a problem. If it's a super flex league, between Ben and these guys, who would you rather have as your number two? I'll throw out three at a time. So Ben versus Wentz, Mayfield, or Trevor Lawrence. Who would you rather have?
Trevor.
Okay. Nick?
Who was the third one? Wentz, Lawrence, and
Wentz, Mayfield, and Trevor Lawrence.
Give me Mayfield. I want Mayfield.
Yeah, so I'll go Carson Wentz there. Specifically because the offensive line is a lot better. Specifically because of that. Next three: Sam Darnold, Dan Jones, or Ben Roethlisberger.
Dan Jones.
I like Sam Darnold in that mix, to be honest. Sam Jones, everybody's sleeping, or Sam Darnold, everybody's sleeping on him.
I agree, probably Sam Darnold.
All right, last one: Tua, Derek Carr, or Ben.
Derek Carr.
Yeah, I'm going Derek Carr there too. All right, so I spent a 5th-round pick on Derek Carr and Scott Fishbowl. I wasn't happy that I had to do that. I was not happy, but I had to do it because everybody wanted to pick quarterbacks. It's pissing me off.
I only have two. I went quarterback, so that's all I got. I literally have not another one, so
there you go.
They better stay healthy, otherwise.
I've seen a lot of drafts start like that though that look really good, so that's not really that big a deal. All right, next up and last up from our recent news, we got DeAndre Hopkins. He's saying this COVID protocol in the NFL is making him question, his future in the league. I mean, is this dude going to Calvin Johnson our asses or Luke Kuechly our ass? What's going on here? Are you guys worried?
It's a personal decision. There's nothing you can really gain from it. It shows that he is thinking about it, but I don't know. My personal opinion: you're being paid millions of dollars to play a game, and for the safety of the nation. But hey, it's to each their own. To each their own. I'm not going to force anybody. They can make their own decisions. He's probably set for the rest of his life, plus the next couple generations. So I have no clue, to be honest.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not worried. I agree with everything that Nick said. It's personal. If he wants to, he wants to. If he doesn't, he doesn't. I'm not too worried. I think it was kind of just one of those things that the players are just kind of, they've always kind of been this way where it's like they feel like the NFL has too much control over them. Mm-hmm. And this is the NFL now putting something out there again. And I think he just was kind of venting, took to Twitter, vented, and it is what it is. But I don't think he's going to retire. I think that he'll be there. I think he has a better chance of playing than Aaron Rodgers. So take that with what you think.
Okay. All right. I had another question about that for Aaron Rodgers. I'll save it to the end of the show. But DeAndre Hopkins, I'm not really worried. I do think it's pretty interesting the way the league is handling this now. So if if you don't have enough players to take the field on a given Sunday, they're not going to reschedule. You're going to get a loss, and everybody on the team loses a paycheck for the week.
And everyone else on the other team loses a paycheck too.
Oh shit. Yeah, they're putting big targets on backs of players who don't want to, take the vaccine. And we've already seen coaches be dismissed. Dennison, the assistant offensive coach in Minnesota. I don't remember who it was, but a Patriots coach. He has been dismissed because all of the personnel and staff have to have the COVID shot. There's no questions about it. But if you're a player, apparently you get the option. If you don't have the shot, then there's like limits on your travel ability. Like you can't travel with your team, you can't stay with your team and things like that. And I just hope that, the situation works itself out where either the Cardinals are going to say, hey, all right, cool, you don't want your shot, we're going to take care of you. We're going to make sure that all this stuff lines up really easily. But, you can't travel with the teammates. You can't stay with your teammates. And maybe he doesn't care about that. But the way that the NFL has set it up, it's a lot of personal accountability. And if you don't atone to that personal accountability, then your teammates and your franchise suffers. So you put a huge target on your back. If you wind up, maybe you don't take the shot, but if you cause an issue, the NFL has put a huge target on you to where your teammates and like Nick alluded to, the other team, the rest of the league is going to, essentially throw you into the shadowland. You're going to get shit on from everybody, the media, players in the league, the NFLPA, whatever it is, you're going to be a sore eye. So I hope it works itself out. But to me, he can have, that opinion. I don't really care as far as like COVID being like a political topic or whatever, but the team, the franchise just needs to stand up for him. That's it. Like if that's his opinion, then the team should just come out and verbally say, hey, we accept that. That's his opinion, whatever. Let's push this under the rug. We're going to make logistical planning so that he can do whatever he wants because he's the star of the team. And he's my, wide receiver too. So please, Hopkins, please just play, brother. Just play and be safe. All right, let's move on. We're going to jump into some of our recent articles. Jeremy dropped 8 breakout players for 2021 about a week or so ago. So we're going to jump into that right now. But we're just going to run through the list, Jeremy. Jerry Jeudy, where's he at for you? Where are you trying to target him? I know we just talked about him a little bit here, but you have him as a breakout player. So, where are you looking to draft him? And, maybe when is too soon to move on?
I have Jerry Jeudy. I'm targeting. I expect him to finish borderline wide receiver 2. And I just think that's a big increase for him. He could squeak into that 15 range. But I just don't know. There's a lot of talent out there. But I just think a low end wide receiver 2, that's a good breakout for a guy that's second year in the league. I'm probably targeting him at 8, 9, 10 range in redraft, maybe.
Is there a situation where you might say, like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to pull the trigger on him. Give me round 6, round 7. Is it just maybe like a huge run on receivers or something like that would cause you to do that, or just going to sit and wait for the right opportunity?
I'm a big sit and wait with wide receivers. So I'd probably sit and wait. If there's like a huge run, but see, like I'm going to take the value. If there's a huge run on wide receiver, I'll probably go running back. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't think so. I'm very like value oriented when I draft. So if he's going higher, I'm not going to like reach on him just to reach on him, because I do see that he's very boom or bust. Like I have him as a breakout. I think he's going to do that. I think he's going to recover from like quote unquote drops. I think Bridgewater and him are going to have a better connection than Bridgewater and Sutton, just by play style. So I just think that he has that better opportunity to break into that wide receiver 2 range than Courtland Sutton does. So that's where I'm at with it. So I'm not really reaching for him. Let's just say that.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, anything to add there, Nick? I know we were talking up Jerry a little bit there a moment ago.
I think Jerry Jeudy will recover from the drops as well. I talked a lot last year. Like, that was a really concerning part to me because I was high on him as a rookie. But I did see a lot of like strong route running. I think he's just, rookie getting his feet wet. Some rookies come in, tear it up like Justin Jefferson. Some rookies take like a year or two to really get their stride. I think that having Teddy Bridgewater will be a big help. I just think that he's not like, I don't feel like Jerry Jeudy is a receiver for like a gunslinger. Like, I feel like he's more for like a game manager, the possession wide receiver, and he can break it out sometimes. I'm higher on him for sure, but I really need him to fix the drops because it's just opportunities that you're missing to make people miss, and if he gets those drops recovered, he'll have a great season.
Yeah, absolutely. I have him at wide receiver 32, right behind Michael Thomas, who we just referenced a little while ago. I like him in that 7, 8 round range. I mean, I guess if that's springing on him, if that's going up a little bit, I'll spend the 7th pick on him because I have 6 players ahead of him that are probably filling the rest of my starting rosters, and he's going to be a flex play. And that's just kind of what I see him week in and week out this year is, a high-end flex option because I do think he gets more targets this year. I think they figure out the quarterback position, whether it's Bridgewater or Drew Lock. I think either of them will be playing better because they have really healthy competition right next to him. So, that competition should spur some better play at the quarterback position. So I like Jerry Jeudy this year for sure. I'll spend the 7th round pick on him. Probably nothing sooner, but I still think that that's pretty good value. I would still probably draft him ahead of guys like Will Fuller, Robbie Anderson. The next guy up is actually Michael Pittman. So we'll just jump right into him because he was literally right after Jerry Jeudy in that little mock that I did. So Michael Pittman, another player from Jeremy that he has as a breakout candidate this year. I don't know if I agree as much. I feel like Michael Pittman and Paris Campbell are kind of just like 1A, 1B for a breakout on that team. What do you think? Why would Michael Pittman be more valuable than, say, like T.Y. Hilton or Paris Campbell?
I just feel like Michael Pittman's kind of a field stretcher. I think he doesn't create a ton of separation, but he showed last year. I mean, there's that one Titans game that he kind of broke out. He has a yak ability. I mean, he's quick. He's not like a big burly like bumbling guy out there. But I just think, but like, I just feel like Carson Wentz it's kind of like a Carson Wentz receiver. He's kind of Alshon Jeffrey like, and I just think that he's got, to me, he's more versatile than, say, Paris Campbell. I feel like Paris Campbell also very injury worried. So who knows if he's going to finish the season. And if he doesn't, then that's where the breakout's not going to happen. But if he does finish the season, I feel like he's more of like a slot type receiver. I think he's going to not really see that outside. And I think T.Y. Hilton, the only reason I wouldn't say T.Y. Hilton's not going to break out because T.Y. Hilton's near the end of his career. I think that Hilton's going to have a decent year with Carson Wentz. I think just both of these guys are going to be better because they can stretch the field now. Phillip Rivers, great quarterback, great career, but last year he couldn't throw the ball down the field effectively, where Carson Wentz still can do that. He may have some more accuracy issues. And I just think that Frank Wright's going to write Carson Wentz a lot, and I think that they're going to stretch the field a lot more. They're going to run off the play action with Jonathan Taylor and the running backs that they have back there. And I just think that Michael Pittman's going to have that off the play action, the field stretch, the deeper balls, and the better opportunity in the red zone. So that's where I'm at with him.
All right. Anything to add there, Nick?
I like Michael Pittman a lot. I was very happy with his production. I was kind of disappointed in Phillip Rivers last year. He kind of didn't do what I expected him to do with the weapons around him. It kind of seemed like he hit like a wall, and it wasn't like he was able to get past that wall. With Wentz coming in, I feel that he's gonna give these guys opportunities. Paris Campbell, I really liked him before he go down with an Achilles too.
I think it was ACL.
Oh, okay, ACL, Achilles. It still sucks. But I thought he was really going to break out this year, and Michael Pittman was going to take like a back seat. But, it allowed Michael Pittman to come up and really see what he can do on the field. And I think that both of them can, really make something happen for Carson Wentz. I just hope Carson Wentz figures it out. Like, it was really bad how he lost his voice in the Philly locker room really quickly. And I see the effort. Like, the effort is there. It was just like he was trying to play hero ball, and no one else was like playing the same game as him. So I just hope that it's just a fresh start and everybody, gets on the same page and chemistry starts building, because you got this offensive line that can literally take out anybody, and you got to really use that and utilize that. And if you don't, it'll be a waste. So just try and keep it together with your teammates for Carson Wentz, and everything else will fall into place.
Yeah, sure. So with Michael Pittman, I like him, but he's actually the guy, or at least the receiver from Indy, that's getting drafted the highest. And with that situation, I have them all pretty close together. Hilton, Pittman, and Paris Campbell, respectively. Kind of in. I guess I could try and pull it up in my rankings here. I think the highest I have any of them is like the mid 30s. Not seeing it here. Don't have it in my notes, but no, Michael Pittman. Sorry, 53. So that's the highest, and then T.Y. Hilton at 55. Paris Campbell at 59. So there's really not that much separation for me. It's just that everyone is going after Michael Pittman. And I feel like with those receivers from the Colts, I'm just going to wind up sitting and waiting for the last guy. And it could very well be T.Y. Hilton or Campbell. It doesn't matter to me. I think that there is plenty of value there because we don't know what we're going to get out of that passing offense from Wentz. There obviously are still some questions there. He's got better receivers than he had in Philly. He's got a better offensive line. So he's got Frank Reich back. I feel like there's some positive narratives here. I just don't want to reach on any one of them. So that's why I hold Michael Pittman back a little bit. Still like him a lot. It's just that, he's kind of like the popular name of the group. He's the one that everyone's targeting. So that's just what holds me off from drafting him. But realistically, anywhere from like rounds 9+, I feel like I could get in on him. I just feel like he may not be as of a high-end flex option like Jerry Jeudy, who we were just talking about, because I feel like he has a little bit less competition for touches, at least at wide receiver. All right, next up we've got Adam Troutman, who I think has a little bit more value now, obviously after the Michael Thomas injury. But you had this written prior to that, so hype up Adam Troutman a little bit, Jeremy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all in on Adam Troutman. I think that you can argue that we've seen any tight end breakouts out of guys. Most recently, Logan Thomas is a team that doesn't have a viable second wide receiver option that's proven at the moment. So you're looking at New Orleans, and Traquan Smith proved he could kind of get the job done, but he wasn't great. Marquez Callaway hasn't really panned out yet. And Deontay Harris is kind of just like a guy. So for me, and now especially missing Michael Thomas, Adam Troutman seems like a good option. Last year, he only saw 15 targets, or 16, I believe. But he did catch 15 of them. He had a very good catch percentage. But he's not like a crazy name. He's not fancy, but he's super cheap right now. And I'm all in because I think that he can easily produce like 900 yards, 800 yards on possibly 9 touchdowns. I mean, there's just nobody else there to catch the ball. I mean, you've got Alvin Kamara, and now with Thomas missing 7 weeks, where are they going? You know what I mean? Like, there's got to be somebody to catch it. And now Adam Troutman's probably going to rise up draft boards, and he might not be as sneaky as he has been. But I just like what he brings. I think that he is a very decent receiver. I wouldn't say that he's extraordinarily well. And I wouldn't say that he's got like the Evan Ingram yak type production. He's kind of, again, like I said with Michael Pittman, he's kind of bumbling and stumbling, but most tight ends are. So I just think he could easily be the Robert Tonyan this year or the Logan Thomas this year. And honestly, once you get after 4, it's up in the air. Could be anybody.
Yeah.
So why can't it be Adam Troutman, who has obviously the clearest path to targets than any of them? So.
Yeah, I'm still seeing amazing value after the most recent mock I did. He's still in round 17 of 22. So that's great value, and that's in a super flex league as well. If they were to sign, a veteran free agent or make a trade, would that affect his value at all, you think? Or like you said, you're still riding with him strong, right?
I'm still riding with him strong. I mean, I had this written, like you said, before Michael Thomas was there. So they had a veteran. What's he going to take? 80 targets. I still think that he can see 80 to 70 and produce, like I said, 800, 900 and 9 touchdowns. I mean, he's going to be close to that mid tight end 1 range. I just think that if you're passing on the high end guys, this is a perfect target. And he's way cheaper than, say, Irv Smith, who arguably has way more competition for targets. So why wouldn't you know what I mean? Aside from maybe Jonnu and Hunter Henry, there's not many guys who are going to see more opportunity to receive targets than Adam Troutman.
Yeah, I feel for like that draft real estate. Yeah, absolutely. Like he was drafted just ahead of Evan Ingram in the 17th round. Anthony Ferkshire back there, I'd say, is pretty similar. I mean, obviously they added Julio Jones in Tennessee, but still, I think there's plenty of opportunity for him. And he went at the end of round 19 in that mock. So those are a couple of names I would see back there. What do you think about Troutman, Nick? Where are you at with him? Anyone, or is he someone that you're targeting in the back end of your draft, whatever?
No. No. I need to see what's going on with the quarterback situation. I mean, it's not like Jameis made tight ends look great in Tampa Bay. It's a completely different offense, completely understand, but he'd rather chuck the ball completely downfield for a speeding wide receiver than hit the seam guy in the hit the seam tight end. So we will see. And right now, I'm just not high on the passing game. Honestly, I'm really high on Alvin Kamara because he got paid and he's been producing, and he housed me in the championship last year. So I literally lost by a Kamara, like literally lost. It was awful. But I'll take that loss any day of the week. He's a first round pick, but passing game, I'm kind of out on the Saints right now until I see some game film with the new quarterback.
All right, right on. All right, let's shift over to running back. We got Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire this year. I mean, I think there's a lot of positive narratives going his way. I have him at about running back 15, right behind David Montgomery, Antonio Gibson, and DeAndre Swift. Tell us about the breakout this year, Jeremy.
Yeah, I mean, you saw the Chiefs. They restructured that offensive line. That's going to be a world of a difference for a running back. And Patrick Mahomes, hopefully. Poor guy was running for his life there by the Super Bowl. Wow. But I just think the big thing and the big knock on Edwards-Helaire is he just never got in the end zone. And I think this year it's going to be a different story. He proved that he can run between the 20s. He does well. Once he's in space, he has enough elusiveness to make guys miss. So I just think that you're going to get a better return this year than you did last year when people drafted him in dynasty leagues, high and redraft. I don't know if he'll get to that RB1 range. I think he's just going to be a real high-end RB2. But I think you're going to get more of what you expected this year than what you did last year.
Right. Yeah, depending on the league. I mean, like I have him at running back 15, so I'd put him right at the top of RB2 territory. I feel pretty similarly. What if you're looking at the board and you see, like those names I just mentioned, I'll even throw Najee Harris in there. So Najee Harris, CEH, David Montgomery, Gibson, Swift. Do you prioritize Clyde over any of those guys?
Not Gibson.
Yeah, I was going to say Gibson's probably higher, and it would be a draw for me with Montgomery. I still think Montgomery's going to see most of the work there. I'm not really worried about Cohen coming off an injury and Damian Williams, so it'd be pretty close there. Okay, I definitely over Najee Harris in my opinion. So
yeah, I have him one spot ahead of Najee at 16. What do you think, Nick?
I think that Clyde won't surpass Najee. I think he's going to not pass Gibson. Everyone else, though, I think is absolutely possible. Lev Bell came there last year and did absolutely nothing. It wasn't like he took away production from Clyde Edwards-Helaire. They're going to try and really work him. And I was kind of surprised on how he came out. And, because everybody's like, oh, CEH, 1-1 last year. And I was like, what are you guys doing? Like, that's not a smart move. But
that's not a bright idea.
Yeah, I'm gonna pass on that. But he did kind of make me eat my words. I thought he wasn't gonna have much production, but he definitely exceeded my expectations. And I think that Andy Reid is the perfect offensive mind to be able to figure out how to unlock production out of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So I'm gonna say he's gonna be up, but I think next year is really gonna be his step forward. I feel like he kind of hit a wall last year and kind of took him back a little bit. I think he just needs to build up and kind of ramp up and get on the same level as everyone else on that offense.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you got to like the upgrades on offensive line. Obviously, you're still in, one of the best offenses in the league. You're going to be in the red zone a lot, so I think there's a lot of upside. But this is also a team that, added, Jerick McKinnon. They still love to use Darrell Williams. And I feel like they added somebody else. I could be wrong, but I still feel like those two in general will still get touches and will still, add to the rushing production because not Jerick McKinnon, but Darrell Williams at least has been there for a bit, and he's been reliable for him in those, darker days when Clyde Edwards has been hurt, even when Kareem Hunt was hurt. So, yeah, I think we'll see still a mixture of those running backs out of that backfield. But I still like Clyde Edwards-Helaire this year. I'll take not a flyer on him, but I'll take a shot on him in the fourth or fifth round if he's still there. I don't want to leap into the second or third round to draft him. There's still a lot of other guys I'd have ahead of him. All right, moving on, we got Zach Moss. That's a big breakout name for sure. I think Nick and I have both have committed to staying away from the Buffalo backfield.
Yes.
But Jeremy, you're pretty close to the situation. You're a Bills fan, no?
Yeah, I'm only, about 5 miles away from that. Actually, less, probably 2 miles away from the stadium. So I'm real close. I can see it now.
Do you have folding table insurance? Is that on your healthcare?
No, I don't, unfortunately.
Have you ever been through a table?
No, I haven't. I'm not that rowdy.
You got to change that.
Yeah, maybe I will. Maybe I'll try it sometime.
Sometime.
Anyways, back to Zach Moss. But yeah, it's tough. I feel like Zach Moss brings a lot to the run game that Devin Singletary doesn't. Last year, I think they really wanted to use Zach Moss more. However, the injury kind of hampered him a little bit. Hopefully, I think he's going to come back a little bit healthier. I think that offensive line was a little bit dicey in the run game for them. I think they struggled. They had Cody Ford was kind of dealing with injuries, and they just never really got like cohesive. I think this year they didn't really add anybody, but the hope is that they gel a little better. That's all you really need with an offensive line is the gelling and them working well together. Necessarily doesn't need to be big names. So I think that the way that the Bills want to use Zach Moss is the way they used Frank Gore when he was there. And that's kind of an inside the 20s type guy. However, he can play the whole field and he does well in the receiving game. And he's actually a very, very good pass blocker where Devin Singletary struggles. So I can see the route where Moss kind of takes over from Singletary. Early word in camp right now, though, is that Singletary showed up in really, really good shape. But I can see where you guys are because I'm kind of the same way. Like I really kind of avoid the Bills backfield just because it's kind of one of those who's going to be what. And the Bills are just kind of the next guy up and it's going to rotate. And that's how they kind of coach right now. And that's how it has been. So I could see that. I just feel like of the two, Zach Moss has that chance to take over better than Singletary does. And that's where I could see him breaking out is if he can get to that 75, 80% of the workload. I think he could have a big year because he's going to get the touchdowns. And that's where you're going to see that rise. We see it with tight ends all the time. We see it with running backs. Whoever can get into that end zone is a little bit more valuable than the guy who can rush for all the yards in between the 20s. You know what I mean? That's what we saw with Clyde last year. He was very good inside 20 to 20. And then inside the 20, he struggled. And that's where he kind of just fell off as far as fantasy production goes. So, and that's where Moss to me excels a little bit more. So that's where I could see that.
Yeah, I think even in week 1 last year for Clyde, it was like one of his best games of the year up against Houston. They gave him like 3 straight carries on the goal line and he couldn't punch it in. I mean, obviously like the game was out of hand, I think already, like we knew they were going to win from the get, but yeah, I mean, he's had those struggles. So what do you think, Nick? Where are you at with the Buffalo backfield? Still a complete stay away or what?
I got to see more, man. Like they were rotating them so much last year and you know, you would see like random games of pop-off stats that you're like, man, like what's going on in Buffalo? And then you tune in the next week and then they, you know, shit the bed offensively, like running the ball. I really do like the passing game in Buffalo, but seriously, if the rushing game takes a huge step forward this year, like the Bills offense is pretty much unstoppable. Like that's just the straight up truth. And they really need these guys to break out. So I think that I don't even know who the head coach is. Oh, McDermott. Is McDermott the head coach there? Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I think McDermott's going to give a running back any opportunity to become the lead back. Like he was really trying to find someone to just take the ball and run with it. And none of them really stepped up last year. And that's when I was kind of like, man, like, you know, I understand running back is kind of like a rhythm position, but man, you guys are out of rhythm completely and you guys are getting all the touches. I'm out right now. I need to see more. Give me 1 year production and I'll start tuning in for the rushing game. But until then, I'm out. I actually went to, instead of being out of New England now, I have Damian Harris. So I'm taking a shot with him. But Buffalo right now, I'm out. I'm done with it.
Yeah, so I've drafted about 5 or 6 teams now, and I have 1 share of Devin Singletary. And I think it was like round 14 of Scott Fishbowl, I'm pretty sure. I got to like the back end of the draft and I only had like 2 running backs, Alvin Kamara and James Robinson, Stan, no problem there. So then I just started getting like, you know, cut up backfields like Devin Singletary, James Conner. I got like a grab of, JD McKissick. So I'm not completely out on it. I wouldn't mind taking even a Zach Moss, maybe in a redraft as just not as an opportunity as a flyer at the back end of the draft. But realistically, when this team gets down to the red zone, I'm just scared Allen's going to steal rushing touchdowns. You know, we've seen Zach Moss also struggle at times. We've seen him deal with injuries. That's not something that I want to, get involved in with. Like, I get a flyer and then literally week 2 he's gone again. But I do agree with you, Jeremy. I do think that Zach Moss probably has more opportunity to be the better running back of that backfield just because he has more versatility. We've seen him catch touchdowns. He's a bigger body in the red zone. So I do think that he has a lot of upside. It's just I could also see this team signing a free agent, a veteran. I could see them going after a Todd Gurley or a Lev Bell just because they want another option back there. One guy isn't doing what they thought he was going to do. I was a little more excited about the Devin Singletary news as well. Showed up to camp looking faster, looking stronger, all that stuff. But then you got to buy in. Is this coach talk or is this real? So for me, you want to stay very risk averse. I would be trying to stay away from them. But back end of your draft, you're looking at an option at running back. They're a decent flyer. They're a decent flyer. I'll give them that. Breakout, I don't know because they could kind of eat into each other's production. But I think one of them is worth a flyer at some point. All right, next up, we're going to skip the next name because he's actually a topic at the end of the show here. So we're going to go Cole Kmet. I was on Jeremy's show about a month or two ago, and we got into some NFC North talk, and Cole Kmet was a big part of that. I'm definitely in on Cole Kmet breaking out this year. The draft stock is super late. He's in a very good position. I think Justin Fields is going to be the quarterback here more sooner than later. What else am I missing here, Jeremy?
Jimmy Graham?
Nah,
just joking. But yeah, Jimmy Graham's kind of a shell of what he was. I think last year you kind of saw at the end of the year, Kmet kind of started to push him out. The question really is Matt Nagy, is he going to be the right coach and just give Kmet the whole reign, or is it going to be still kind of like sprinkling in Jimmy Graham? But I think Kmet's the whole deal. He's a good blocking tight end. He's a decent receiver. And I just see Kmet taking over sooner than later, just like you said with Justin Fields. And I think adding Justin Fields, a good, solid security blanket tight end for a rookie quarterback is great. And I think that's where that passing offense is going to go. It's another one that is weak at the wide receiver 2 option. You have Allen Robinson, Darnell Mooney looked good. And then after that, they just got rid of Anthony Miller. There's not much. Damiere Byrd's there. There's guys there, but nobody that's like a big name that's going to steal the spotlight from, say, Cole Kmet. So, and they drafted him pretty high last year, and I think they want him to be the guy. So I think that it's all in for Cole Kmet this year. I think that he has a good chance to break out. And like we had said with Adam Troutman, after 4, it could be anybody. So, and I think the touchdowns too. So, this offense might be a little better and see a little bit more receiving touchdowns from Kmet. So that should rise him up the board.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. What do you think, Nick? Taking a shot?
I like Cole Kmet. I was impressed with what he did last year. Jimmy Graham did wear down. That's just what father time does to you. So I think Cole Kmet is really going to step up. And I think when Justin Fields comes in, I think it's going to be like a revelation for him. Rookie quarterbacks like to depend on their tight ends. And I think Cole Kmet got his feet under him last year. And I think he's ready to take that step forward and be that safety blanket. So I'm pretty high on him. I think that he is going to break out.
Yep. Couldn't agree more, guys. A guy that I've been in on all off season long. Obviously, really close to the situation, being a Bears fan, but there's a lot to like about this guy. Jeremy alluded to the end of the year production last year. He was taking more snaps than Graham because he just has more upside as a blocker. He's more versatile. He can catch and block. Slip off of some of those blocks for some easy extra yards. You got a guy in Justin Fields that isn't a run first quarterback, but he's mobile and he can get out of that pocket quickly. Word around camp is everyone's loving him. Like I said, if this guy isn't the starter week 1, Justin Fields, he's going to be the starter week 1 at halftime. I'm telling you, this guy is going to get in there early. I don't believe in Andy Dalton, and honestly, I haven't heard anything from these players saying like, "Oh yeah, Andy's our guy," this and that. Obviously, we're just getting going with camp here, but I don't think that there's going to be many positives for Dalton here. After literally week 1, they're playing the Rams. I think that he's going to go out there, make some mistakes, and hopefully Fields is in early, if not just starting week 1. So we'll see what we get there.
Insert the GIF from Toy Story 2, Andy getting wiped off Woody's foot.
Exactly.
Gone.
Exactly. Oh, Justin. That's what's all right. Last up here is Denzel Mims, deep Jets receiver here. I'm going to say right out the get, I'm passing. Hard pass for me on Mims. Convince me otherwise, Jeremy.
Yeah, I'm just been in on Denzel Mims from last year. I liked him a lot. I think that the offense that they ran last year and his hamstring injuries that he had really limited him. He tends to be a little bit of a bursty receiver. He doesn't really create a ton of separation. So the hamstring injury was really crippling to him, I think, personally. When he did come in, he looked decent. However, you have to take into that with like a grain of salt. I mean, it was Adam Gase, it was Sam Darnold. They struggled. The offense in general was just bad. And I mean, his workout metrics and stuff are crazy off the charts. I think that he obviously has drawn comps. If you look on player profilers, Chris Godwin, and we know what Chris Godwin did. You know what I mean? It took a year or two for him to get in. And that's a normal progression for wide receivers. It takes time usually. Last year was like an outlier. You get in and you get Justin Jefferson busting off. You got Chase Claypool. Like these guys came in, they did really well, but that's not the norm. And that's something to look into this year too with these rookies. Like Jamar Chase might not be what Justin Jefferson was. Like that was just a historic year. So for me, I'm still in on Denzel Mims. I still think that there's no true alpha there. Yeah, they brought in Corey Davis, but Corey Davis also has proven young in his career that he couldn't be an alpha. Yeah, like I mean, it's just an issue of a team that doesn't have a true alpha wide receiver. Jamison Crowder was one of their top guys, but he's not the alpha size. You know what I mean? He doesn't have that size. He doesn't play that position where Denzel Mims does. And I think the opportunity will be there for him. And I like Zach Wilson. I think Zach Wilson's a little bit more of a gunslinger than Sam Darnold. And I think that Zach Wilson's going to give Denzel Mims more opportunities because Mims not going to have that separation where Darnold wants that separation. You know, Darnold's going to do well with a guy who can create separation and is open so he can see it and he's going to throw it. If it's not open, he doesn't necessarily throw it. He's a little bit gun shy, where I think Zach Wilson proved it in BYU. I mean, that guy just slings it. So I'm still in on him. And when I say breakout, I don't know if I still think like wide receiver 3. But for me, that's a breakout considering he was like wide receiver 7 last year.
That would be a breakout season for sure for Mims. At 1,000%. Where are you at on the Jets receivers, Nick? Taking a shot on Mims?
Probably not. Not right now. You know, this is really strange to say, but I think that New York is too big for Zach Wilson. He's coming from BYU, and just the different like body language you saw like at the draft and like the stuff that's happening with his mom, I think it's going to distract him a lot. And I feel like it's going to be a huge culture shock. That's going to suffer for the passing game. But I do think Robert Saleh is going to use the rushing attack that he learned from Mike Shanahan. And I think that, you know, isn't the guy's name Michael Carter? That's the running back there. I think he could pop off. Whoever's the running back there at this moment, they could absolutely pop off. I'm just kind of staying away from the Jets passing game until I see what Zach Wilson can do in the NFL. I saw him at BYU. He's got an arm. He can play the position, but sometimes you get put into too big of an arena, and I feel like New York might have been too big for him. But we'll see. I really hope he does good, but I think he has the biggest bust potential out of all the quarterbacks.
Ouch. So with Denzel Mims, like I said before, I'm still on a hard pass. If there's a receiver that I'm going to take from the Jets, it's probably going to be Jamison Crowder because I think he probably has the most to gain from better quarterback play. You know, I got a 45-man roster with Braxton Berrios, you know, in the belt buckle. You know, we got him ready to go. We all know he's got the most swagger of that receiving core. Braxton break the bank Berrios, but. Yeah, I'm going to pass on Mims. I'm going to pass on Corey Davis. Honestly, I went through my mock. I couldn't even find Mims drafted. So for all I know, he's a guy that might be just on, waivers to start the year. And maybe I can just no, actually, now I found it. He went in round 15. He was hiding from me. But other than him, I think it was just Corey Davis and Jamison Crowder. So none of the other guys behind them drafted. Just not really that interested. I haven't seen anything that's making me run to him, at least at the NFL level. The workout metrics, like you mentioned, Jeremy, yeah, they're on the level for sure, but you still got to go out there and catch balls. And we're not really sure what the system is, if it's going to be run heavy, pass heavy, balanced attack, if they really lean into the run to protect Zach Wilson, or if he's just out there just slinging it to everybody and their mother. So I'm going to pass on Mims from now. Maybe I can get him off of waivers in some leagues. In the mock that I'm looking at, it's like 22 rounds. Obviously, that's for a little bit more aggressive fantasy players, right? A lot of people still playing in like 15, 16, 17 round drafts. So in something like that, I'm probably going to be looking at him off of waivers. All right, let's wrap it up here. We covered Jeremy's most recent article for his eight breakout players. I recently just did a profile on Mark Andrews. In this most recent mock draft, this dude just is not budging from rounds 7 and 8. And to me, I love that value. I mentioned earlier in the show that a lot of fantasy owners, they're all in on the top 3 guys. Give me Waller, give me Kelsey, give me Kittle. But if it's not those 3, then, well, fade the whole position forever. I'm telling you that Mark Andrews will challenge those top 3 guys in production this year, mainly from the upgrades at receiver for the Ravens. And 2, they have to pass more. They have to pass more. Back-to-back years, Greg Roman and the Baltimore Ravens offense has finished 32 of 32 in the league in passing attempts. That's just total passing volume. I don't care if it's 5 positions more or if it's 3 positions more. More passing volume is going to equate for more and better production from Mark Andrews, who I still feel is the best pass catcher on that team, even with adding Rashad Bateman, even with Marquise Brown, another year older, another year of experience, even with Sammy Watkins and all the experience and Super Bowl win that he brings in. I still think that he is the best pass catcher there, and he's going to be in that range for like 10 to 13 receiving touchdowns, 900, maybe even 1,000 receiving yards this year, and probably 80 plus, 85 plus catches. I'll get off the podium here. Tell me I'm right. Tell me I'm wrong, guys.
I am on your side that Mark Andrews is a great talent. I think that he could break out, but Greg Roman is screwing up the offense by making it 54% run. They have to have a change of philosophy for Mark Andrews to actually have the numbers that we're all expecting and know that he can do. And that's the guy honest truth. I think that he's one of the best tight ends. He's very underutilized in Baltimore. And I think that if they change the philosophy, if they literally change it from 54% run to 54% pass, it's going to literally change the game for them. Instead of depending on Lamar to get 3 yards every dive behind the center, you're opening up the field and allowing him to do what he does best is work in space. Don't put him in a box and throw him into the middle of the defense. Let him make people miss, and that's what he does best. But if you spread out the field also, that gives a chance for Mark Andrews to shine as well because he can hit the seam, he can go deep, he can go possession routes, he can move the chains. I think he's great. It just has to be the change of OC's philosophy and open up the playbook a little bit. Like you literally took off the pass.
He's declared they're going to pass more. He's gone on the record multiple times. We are going to be.
I need to see the numbers. I need to see the numbers. Okay. Yeah, you could say you're going to pass more all you want, but on Sundays, if you still call those 3-yard dives, that's one less pass for you. Like, and that's what I'm going to say is some coaches just really believe in that wing T offense, basically. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. Well, what's the point of it? Like, no one's happy with Lamar right now based on his production and blaming him. Blame the OC. He's not making the right calls for Lamar. He's literally fitting a square peg in a round hole with Lamar Jackson, and that's what I don't like about it.
He was the OC in Buffalo, was he not, Jeremy, for a good while? And it was a very similar situation where they were like literally like dead last or maybe second or third from dead last in passing volume.
Yeah, he was with Tyrod Taylor was here. It was a real short period of time.
So,
I think
it's a narrative for him. It's a consistent narrative for him. It's just that if he doesn't change that narrative this year, he's gone. Like I don't expect him to last 5 games as a play caller if they don't up the volume. If they don't.
That's what happened here.
What's that?
That's what happened here with Rex Ryan. Rex Ryan was getting on the hot seat, and they let him go 2 games into the season because of that. And that's when they moved to Anthony Lynn. And that's when he got his chance because it was the same thing the year before. They were the number 1 rush team, and they were very low. I think they were in the low 20s for passing volume. But again, though, even in those low passing volumes, Charles Clay was a very good fantasy option here for those couple of years. And I think that Mark Andrews, even that, I think it's just his philosophy, like Nick had said, like he likes to run the ball a lot. And why would you not blame him, though? I mean, with Lamar Jackson, you got J.K. Dobbins now, Gus Edwards. I mean, they have had a very good rushing offense. And especially with the defense that they have, they don't need to throw the ball as much because that defense just locks down anybody. Doesn't matter who they are. But I do agree. I think they need to pass more. And I think I see them doing that. I think they went out, they brought in Watkins, who isn't crazy anymore, but adding Bateman's going to help. And then Marquise Brown. And like you said, Andrews is going to be up there. I love that ADP, and I'm all in on Mark Andrews there. It's just because he's proven he can be the 3rd or 4th option as far as fantasy tight ends go. So I'm in it. I think TJ Hockenson hasn't shown that. I think he's going to have a lot of opportunity. But other guys around there, it's still messy situations. And I think Mark Andrews is. I think he's a red zone target, a red zone threat. And I think they're going to pass more. So I agree with you. I'm all in on Mark Andrews for that.
Name me another top 5 player at their position like preseason ranking that you can get in rounds 5 or later. He's top 5. Fantasy Pros has him as their top 5 tight end. I'd put him at 4 ahead of Hawkinson. And realistically, like, yeah, Hawkinson's going to get volume, but the Ravens are going to be in the red zone more. They're a higher, more potent offense than the Lions, and that's what I want a piece of. You want to get one of the better weapons in that system. It goes Lamar, Mark Andrews, and then Dobbins. For me, I would still put Mark Andrews ahead of Dobbins, at least as far as like the talent on that roster, because I still think that he'll score more total touchdowns than J.K. this year. J.K. has to worry about Gus Edwards stealing touchdowns in the red zone and Lamar. So I feel like this, this offense should heighten up more value for Mark Andrews the way it looks and sounds right now. But yeah, maybe if Greg Roman doesn't actually want to hold true to his word, if he doesn't want to pass more, it could be a very similar situation like Jeremy alluded to in Buffalo, where he's out after a couple of weeks. I'm saying, if I'm a GM or I'm the head coach, I give him like a very short leash, like 4 or 5 games, because you could still be winning games and not be passing a lot, whatever. But if you start, accumulating losses because you can only go one way and that's on the ground, then he's got to get out of there. You can't go 90-10 in this league. You just can't. You need a balanced attack one way or the other. It's just the truth.
Mm-hmm. And I think his safe so far is that defense. The Bills, the reason he got rushed out of here is because actually Rex Ryan's defense was not playing well. Rex Ryan's defense was getting shredded. And
I remember that.
Instead of moving Rex Ryan, they were like, yeah, well, let's just get rid of the OC. He's not scoring enough points.
We still believe in him.
So that's the only reason Roman probably still has the job. It's just because they're winning, because that defense and the rushing offense is so good. But we'll see. This year should be interesting.
He's feeding into the narrative that Lamar Jackson's a running back, and I don't like him for that. Like, Lamar Jackson can pass the ball. You just got to give him the chance to pass. He's focusing so much on the run. Like, he takes so much damage as a running back with that 3-yard dives, and then you're asking him to throw a ball 50 yards. Like, it's kind of hard. Like, that's hard, and I don't appreciate how Roman's doing that to Lamar, because we've seen Lamar's MVP season. When they had a balanced attack, he literally, what did he throw, like 37 touchdowns or 32 touchdowns, something like that?
They still threw the least amount of passing volume in the league that year, though. They were still 32 of 32. But it just worked out a little bit better.
But they at least gave the opportunity to, they gave the playbook to Lamar to do it. This year, it seemed like they shut down all those opportunities, and they're just like, we're just going to run the ball. Like, no, what are you doing? This is a wide open NFL league. Why are you closing everything down within the hashes? That's kind of how I feel.
Oh, I 1,000% agree. I went to the Chargers versus Ravens game playoffs from like 3 years ago when Lamar was filling in for Flacco, and my whole section was just screaming, let him pass. Let him pass. That's it. Yeah. That's all we were screaming for the first half of the game, because all they were doing was running triple options, and they weren't doing anything with it. Obviously, he was still a rookie, filling in for Flacco when he was still there, but still, like, you're in a playoff game. Like, what are you doing? The other team has Keenan Allen and Phillip Rivers. Think about it. Come on. It kills me every time.
It burns up the strategy of the Ravens burns up the clock against them. Like, they're going against teams that are quick hits. They can go down the field very fast, very quick, and you are just burning up time for you to actually make a comeback. So they're going to do, like, I don't know, a 2 to 3 minute drive and score a touchdown 70 yards, while it's going to take you 20 minutes to get down the field 50 yards. And you're literally just taking away opportunities for yourself. It's all about who makes the last stop. And that's how you win in the NFL. It's not, we got to keep it close. No, there's styles now. If you have a high-flying passing offense like the Chiefs, they would tear up the Ravens easily, because they're just like, okay, I don't care if you have 20 minutes. I can score in 2 minutes. That's kind of how it is now.
Yeah. It's not your grandfather's football league anymore. That's for certain.
Nope, not at all.
Last up, we've got Emron's article on Joe Burrow, trust or bust. Missing you, Emron. Hopefully you're getting some good studying done. Couldn't be here today. He had a lot of extra work to do. So we're going to jump into it just really easily. Joe Burrow, trust or bust this year based on his ADP. Going, I think, in around like 5 or 6 for Superflex League, somewhere around that range. What do you think, Jeremy?
I mean, if that's where he's going, I'm all in.
Yeah,
I'm all in on Joe Burrow. I think he's going to do well this year. I think that they didn't really revamp the offensive line a lot, but he's got too many weapons. I think if he can stay healthy, hopefully, fingers crossed, the offensive line gets a touch better, just basically maybe practice, continuity, something. Mixing back healthy is going to help him. So I'm just all in on him. I think he's good to go.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, I'm a big trust on Joe Burrow. My QB1 in my Scott Fishbowl league. Now, I wasn't targeting him, but I mentioned to you guys earlier there was like a huge run on quarterbacks. So I like literally the consecutive picks right before me were Ryan Tannehill and Matthew Stafford, who I was targeting. But I'll take Joe Burrow. Absolutely, this is a great system. He has familiar weapons. I think T. Higgins takes a big step forward. I love Tyler Boyd still, and enter Jamar Chase, who he has a ton of chemistry with from LSU. So I think there's a lot to like about this situation. Maybe they even try to go out and grab a tight end. Maybe they go out and try to trade us for Jimmy Graham, or they target like Zach Ertz or somebody like that. I don't know. If they could add another piece of tight end, that would put that those weapons over the top for sure. You got a top 10 running back in Mixon, and their defense is just so. Like, I'm not even going to say it's bad. I just think it's just kind of average at best. And I think that in that division, they're going to be playing behind in a lot of games, even up against a run-heavy type of Baltimore Ravens offense. So I think there's a lot to be desired here and a lot of positive game script that will go Joe Burrow's way this year, just playing from behind and a very vertical offense. What do you think, Nick?
I mean, I'm on the same boat as you guys. I wish that the offensive line was revamped a little bit. I've been kind of disappointed with Jonah Williams, but Garrett Bowles showed me that there is possibility to basically change around your career in a single year.
He's just got to stay healthy. He just always gets hurt.
Jonah Williams was like that big tackle that from Alabama.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, dude, like that guy is going to be a beast in the NFL. And he literally has just had shoulder issue after shoulder issue. And that's like really unfortunate. So if he steps up, I mean, honestly, I thought he was going to be the next Anthony Muniz. You know what I'm saying? Like he has that kind of like pedigree. And no one was like, oh, reached on Jonah Williams when he got drafted. It was like, oh, okay, solid pick. I really like that. And now, Joe Burrow has Jamar Chase, his favorite weapon, someone that he handpicked. That chemistry, it takes years to make happen, and they already have that. So now it's just going to be having them work within the system. I think that Joe Burrow is going to take another step forward. Just please keep him upright. That's literally all I ask for. Just keep him upright, or take the pressure off him to have to make 5-second reads. Just keep him upright and he'll be fine. He is legitimate. And I think that he's going to be a star in the NFL for years to come.
Just please, no more QB draws.
Never again. Never again.
11-man personnel,
fall
QB
down.
Draws. Cut that shit out. Like, it's annoying. First off, it always pisses.
Okay,
I was going to say, it always pisses me off on the prop bets because we're sitting there on like Thursday or Monday night in the Bengals game. They're playing like, someone random like the Jags. We're like, Joe Burrow, over under 14 total rushing yards. And then he takes one on a QB draw for 15 or something. It's so annoying. Cut that nonsense out. And just stay vertical, keep his weapons fed, and it's going to be a great year for him.
Yeah, that's all I can see too.
Yep, absolutely. Anything to add there, Jeremy?
No, you guys summed it up. Just go get Joe Burrow.
Just go get Joe Burrow. Yeah, in the last mock, he was the last pick of the 4th round. So depending on your league, he could be there end of the 4th, beginning of the 5th. Again, that's super flex format. And single quarterback, I think 7 or 8 is gold. You could really hit the moon there and shoot for the stars with a late pick like that in a single quarterback league. All right, Jeremy, anything to plug before we head out of here? Anything that you're working on that you'd like to share with folks?
Yeah, just check out yardsperfantasy.com. I have articles over there. Once the season starts, probably doing some start-sit stuff, matchup stuff. And then the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, I have a lot of work coming out over there. A lot of articles, some stuff coming out this week. Guys to move on from in Dynasty, and deep sleeper targets for each team in the NFL. So those hopefully are going to drop this week, next week. And then check out my podcast. We're going to return. We kind of had a 2-week hiatus. My co-host was sick. So, but yeah, fantasy football playmakers. Sorry. But yeah, other than that, no, just check me out on Twitter @PopesFFH.
All right, right on. Appreciate you coming by. Look forward to having you back probably sometime in the regular season. Maybe come by for maybe Monday or Thursday night. Talk some pregame.
Yeah, I'm always open. It was a pleasure being on. Great talking with you, Nick. I do seen you on Twitter and interacted maybe a little bit. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, it was a pleasure being on. I was great. I had an awesome time, so I'd gladly come on a Monday or Tuesday or Thursday.
Awesome.
Sorry.
Yep. Appreciate having you. Everybody else, take care. Be well. Keep in mind, we're running our fundraiser for the Autism Society of America. You can donate below or just check out our link tree on any of our socials at Twitter or on Facebook. Take care. Be well. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.